The last thing she said to me in court was, "You'll never see the kids again." She didn't look back when she said it, didn't even blink, just a smile, sharp, deliberate, like she'd rehearsed it. And I, frozen, stripped of everything but the sound of my own pulse, watched her walk out of the courthouse with my children, our $4.2 million home, and the smug confidence of a woman who thought she'd won. The judge's gavel came down like a nail sealing my coffin. That night, I packed what was left of my life into 2 boxes and drove east, back to Ohio. Back to the basement of the house where my mother had died 6 years ago. The air smelled of mildew and mothballs, the walls sweated, the furnace coughed like an old man. It wasn't a home. It was a tomb. I told myself I'd stay a month, just until I could figure things out. But days blurred. Grief became habit. I stopped checking my phone. She'd already blocked my number. One morning, while cleaning the basement, I found the safe. Hidden behind the furnace, its metal dull and dust-covered. I don't know what made me notice it. Maybe the corner of a hinge catching the light. The combination lock was old, scratched. I tried my birthday out of reflex. It clicked. Inside, there was no money, no jewels, just a stack of letters bound with a rubber band and one sealed envelope on top. My name, written in my mother's handwriting. If you're reading this, they finally found you. For a long time, I just stared at that line. They? I thought maybe she was losing her mind before she died. Dementia had been setting in. But then I opened the next envelope, and the next. Each letter was dated, and each described something I didn't want to believe. My wife, her name, our bank accounts, transfers, payments, a timeline that started before we were even married. Turns out she didn't meet me by chance at that conference in San Diego. My mother wrote that the woman was hired to get close, to marry me, to take what I'd inherited after Dad's death, the patents, the trust fund, the shares, and that if I ever found this, it meant she'd finished the job. The letter ended with one last line. Don't confront her, not yet. Let her believe she's safe. I didn't sleep that night, didn't eat the next day. I sat at the table with those letters spread out like evidence in a murder case, because that's what it was, a slow, quiet killing of a man's life. I replayed everything. The night she said she loved me for my honesty. The afternoon she convinced me to merge assets. It's just paperwork, love. We're a team. The week before the divorce when she suddenly changed her phone password. Every moment was a brick in the trap I'd walked into. But I didn't break. No. I started planning. First, I contacted an old friend, Eli, a cybersecurity analyst I once funded. Told him I needed help recovering deleted data. He didn't ask questions. Within days, I had her emails, her offshore accounts, the communications with the attorney she'd been sleeping with, the same one who represented her in court. I learned how she funneled my assets through shell companies, how she doctored documents to show me as financially unstable. Every move was calculated, precise, ruthless. So I learned to be the same. For months, I stayed silent. I let her think I was finished. I sent no messages, made no appearances, no attempts to see the kids. She thought she'd buried me. Meanwhile, I rebuilt everything from my mother's basement. I moved funds quietly, small amounts at first, then more, under the radar of her lawyers. I recorded every transaction she made. I gathered evidence, timestamps, IP logs, voice memos, all legal, all traceable. Then I made my final move. It started with a letter, anonymous of course, sent to the IRS, to the California Bar Association, to her bank's fraud department. Each envelope contained documents she thought were hidden forever. She'd committed perjury, tax evasion, asset concealment. The kind of crimes that don't just cost you money, they cost you everything. Within a month, her accounts were frozen. The lawyer, her lover, was suspended pending investigation. She couldn't pay the mortgage. The house she'd stolen from me slipped through her fingers like sand. But I wasn't done. The custody hearing was scheduled 6 months later. She walked into court thinner, pale, exhausted. Her new attorney whispered frantically beside her. When she saw me, she froze. I didn't smile. I didn't need to. My lawyer presented the evidence, every transfer, every falsified document, every message she'd sent. It was airtight. By the time the judge finished reading, she wasn't looking at me anymore. She was staring at the floor. The custody ruling flipped. Sole custody to me. Her visitation rights revoked until further review. When the gavel fell this time, I didn't hear a coffin close. I heard the door open. She ran after me in the hallway. "You set me up," she hissed. "You think this makes you the hero?" I looked at her, really looked. The woman I once thought I'd die for was now nothing more than a reflection of my own blindness. "No," I said quietly, "it makes me free." I walked away before she could answer. The next morning, I drove back to Ohio, parked in front of the house where it all began. The furnace hummed. The safe was still open. My mother's letter lay on the table, edges yellowed with age. For the first time, I understood what she meant. If you're reading this, they finally found you. She wasn't warning me that someone was coming. She was telling me I'd found the truth, that I had finally seen them for who they were. I burned the letters that night, watched the paper curl, blacken, disappear into ash. The past didn't deserve a grave, it deserved silence. Now, when I see my children sleep, I feel no anger, just clarity. Revenge wasn't the goal, it was the cure. Because sometimes justice doesn't come from the system, it comes from patience, precision, and a letter hidden behind a furnace.